So before we put all the foam board insulation up here, first, we're going to have wood boards running across when it's finished. And I'd like to be able to use a finish nailer and nail them up. So what I'm planning to do is make my own wooden rib and fasten it to the steel rib, run all the way the width of the bus. So I'm just going to kind of wing this right here. I just have a short 2x4 because the corners of the buses are tighter than the rest here. If I had a longer 2x4, it would kind of fit in like that. I wouldn't be able to trace it. So I need a short one so I can trace the whole length of the rib. Up here I'll probably have use a longer 2x4 because it'll be able to stretch across without making any gaps like that. So I'll be able to trace it. So I'm not sure how many pieces I'm going to be using. Guessing the corners will be tight, just little 2x4s like this. In the center, I'm thinking maybe I'll have 2 longer ones. And then I'll just piece them in. I'll probably use tap-in screws and fasten them one at a time across. And I'm thinking do every other rib. So I just have to do this before we put the foam board in, because just to get a right measurement for the foam board, it's going to be 1.5 inches less. And I'd like to get this in first so I can squeeze the insulation in. So I got the one side cut. The curve is matching up pretty well. So I'm going to come back around here, trace one more time on the inside here, cut that out. So I should have a nice part of a wood rib to match the steel one. Well, there we go. Pretty happy with how it turned out. I'm halfway there. It's coming along nicely. 2 more pieces should be good. Another reason I'm doing this is I don't know if it's going to make a huge difference, but I like to create as much of a thermal barrier as I can. So instead of screwing the boards in straight to the steel rib, this way I can go to the wood instead, as whatever temperature's outside, it easily gets transferred in through metal. And I mean, it's just little screws, but throughout the whole bus, if it's screwed everywhere, it's a lot of screws. So I'm not sure if it'll make that much of a difference, but I figured every little thing can count when trying to keep the bus warm or cool. Bus is all insulated. Just got done. It's been a little over a week now since we started working on this. For this insulation, all we pretty much used was this 4-foot square here and just a box cutter. Stuff's pretty easy to work with. You just score a line and then you just break it in half usually once it's scored. Had some trouble in some spots getting it in, like right here we kind of had to piece it in this area because there's a lip right here and then it goes up like another inch and we couldn't slide the exact piece in there. We had to cut it in half, put the top part up, and then kind of force that into there. So some spots like that, and same deal up here. Don't look too pretty, but do the job. You can already tell from just being in here, we got the little buddy heater up there. But within a couple of minutes, it's pretty warm in here. And you can feel the difference after you turn the heater off too. It stays warm longer than before when we didn't have all this foam board in here. So, chose foam board. We didn't want to use the fiberglass. It seemed like the cheapest way to go. Also, I didn't want to have fiberglass holding moisture in, like what we saw with the stock stuff that was in here. The spray foam I hear is the best as far as insulating. We just didn't have the money for spray foam, but I'm sure this will do what we needed to do. Also, I was thinking about the spray foam. I don't know if anybody's had problems with it. Like, once you spray it on, it's pretty much on there. Like this stuff I can take out if I ever have to get into like the walls or the ceiling or something. I'm not sure why I would, but if I had to get to the metal behind there for some reason, or like, I mean, it isn't really a big deal, but there's little marker lights with wires that go back there. But yeah, I know. I just thought it'd be easier having foam or insulation I could pull out if I needed to get somewhere. Whereas a spray foam, it's pretty much there. You gotta get in there and scrape it all out, and I don't know. I don't know if that's really be a big deal if anybody's experienced something like that, but just a thought I had, so I kind of pushed us toward using rigid foam even more. None of this was really too hard. Just took time measuring stuff and cutting it. For the curves here, you can see we cut every probably like 5 or 6 inches where the curve tightens, and just press them in. We measured the width from the rib to rib here and added like 1/8 of an inch, just so when we press these up in, they stayed in. When we started, I actually cut it to the actual size, and I put it up, it just fell right down. So if you're doing this, just add like a 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch. Make things a lot easier for you. Here's all the wooden ribs we made. I went every other rib and added a wooden rib. I added 2 up here because it kind of like funnels down a little bit. See that? So I'm gonna have boards starting right here and running back. I'm gonna have a section from here. I'm gonna have to like figure it out as I go, I guess, because we're gonna have to go down as I go in. I don't know. Get to that later. I was trying to read up online, see if there was something I could do, like fill in like small cracks here or something for like drafts and stuff. I don't know if it's going to be an issue. We'll have walls on here. Some people would talk about using expanding foam like this. This was in my garage. I have some experience with this. My whole life I've driven shitty beater cars. I think I used this before on one of my S10s. It was all rusted out. Just trying to get to pass inspection. I sprayed some in it and painted it. If you spray this, it'll cure and kind of have like a shell on it. But if that cracks, it'll absorb moisture and it'll rust everything out even more that's around it. I sprayed it in my S10. I haven't painted it, and pulled it out a few months later, and all the foam was wet. Like, I don't even know how moisture got into it, but it absorbed the moisture around it, and the truck was even more rusted out than before. I didn't really care because it was a $300 truck, but something like this, I'm deciding not to use that on the bus. Rather not rust everything out. I mean, I guess it'd be, I don't know. I'm not using it. But, so the cracks, we're just going to leave them. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. We're going to have walls up and a wood ceiling. And it already feels much warmer in here than when we had the fiberglass insulation. So we're happy with how it turned out. With all this insulation, we're still going to get some heat or cold in through up front here. So I want to try to figure out something to do, maybe like a thick curtain that slides across or something like that. The only other place we didn't insulate was the back wall here, just because I want to keep this air conditioner. I didn't want to rip it out. It'd be like messing with the roof because it's bolted through the roof. And I checked up there and it looks good, nothing's leaking. I pulled some of this panel off too, just to see how it looks behind there, and it looks all right. We're gonna build a wall. That tape was straight, but straight across here, a wall coming up, kind of with this last rib. and that'll just be kind of like some thin storage back there. I'll probably have be able to get in. I think we're gonna have a bed right here, so you'll be able to get in underneath the bed. But that'll be closed off just to keep the bedroom area warm or cold in the summer, whichever. And plan to have the bathroom there too. So keep both those things temperature controlled by building a wall back here. So overall, with just the insulation in, feel a big difference. Might have something to do also with taking all the metal off the walls and the ceiling, because all the temperature outside is just getting sucked right in with all the metal. Taking some of that out definitely helps. I'm sure it'll be even better once we get the walls up too. But right now it's pretty comfortable in here. It's like probably like low 40s, upper 30s right now outside. Feels like it's probably like 60 something in here. Come on, Chino. Get on the bus. No, Chino. This is Chino, our desert dog. Found him in Arizona. Chino, not in the barn.